Hey guys, welcome to Be a Sales Superstar in Your Personal Chef Business. I'm Stephanie Heller, and I am so glad that you are here with me today and learning from me, and I'm learning from you, and I hope that this will help you so much in your personal chef business. Sales is the backbone of any business. If you're not making any sales, you do not have a business. You have a hobby. So, what trips up people a lot is that their confidence level is not where it needs to be to make efficient sales over and over. So, that's why I'm here helping you today. If you are new to sales, don't worry. It has nothing to do with your background or where you're from. It has to do with your experience and what you're willing to do. So if you're willing to learn and you have an open mind, you are in the right place, and I'm sure you will get what you came here for. So this module will be a interactive training where I will be going over different PDFs that you got with this module to help you in your sales process. And at times I could be sharing the screen with you, or I'll be just talking, or we'll be looking at some notes that I wrote where you can follow along. So get comfortable. I'm actually setting a timer so we do not go too long and we get a good a clean recording and attention span, and people are paying attention, because sometimes information overload doesn't work, and you can always pause this and come back. Get a pen and paper, take some notes, shut off other tabs, other things you might be doing, because that is not a good use of your time if you're trying to learn. A lot of people think they can multitask, and multitasking is not a real thing. You're just switching from activity to activity faster and faster and getting less and less done and eroding your attention. So my hope is that you come here with a clear head and you're ready to learn. So if you see me looking at another screen, it's just because I am looking at my notes. And you can always write down any questions and email us at assistant@stephanieheller.com, or you can pop into the Facebook group Elite Personal Chefs, where you should already be a member, and post a question, tag me, ask the group, and you will get what you need. So let me just fix this a bit. I'm not sure what you can see in the background, but we'll get started. So the documents that you got for this module is the process for answering inquiry calls, the prospect phone sales script, the sample of a service agreement that I have for my business, Ripe. You have an email communication example, and then you have a client agreement sample. Then we're going to have a little bit of homework or stuff that I want you to do on your own. And you will need to practice this stuff. It is not just something that you're going to listen to a recording once and know how to do. Sales is an ongoing process between you, the service provider, and the community. It is usually a voice interaction where you're talking to somebody on the phone, meeting somebody in person, and exchanging a service for money. It's not something you do once and you're amazing at. It is something you build up and you get confidence in, and then you become amazing at it. So the goal for this module is the confident sale of your personal chef services. I want you to also understand your exact role in the sales process and why prospects are contacting you. That is really important, because if you don't even know what you bring to the table and why people are contacting you, it's going to be much harder to sell your services. So some things to keep in mind is that you are saving them from something that they don't want to do, which is cook, and everything related to cooking. So you being that kind of lifesaver is one of the benefits of using your service and why people are going to buy and book you. You're also solving their problem of, I don't have any time, but I want to eat healthy, which is basically everybody's, go-to phrase for their lives. I'm busy, I don't have the time, but I want to eat healthy. And you are giving them back their time, by solving the problem of, I don't know what to cook, I don't have time to cook, I hate to cook, and I'm so tired I don't want to cook. So in building your confidence of what you're going to say when you're on the phone with people, you have to know why they're calling you. They might not actually say it outright, but we need to know ahead of time so we can listen to them effectively and give them a solution to their problem. So if you have worked with me before, or you've done some research into identifying your target market and client, you should know their specific traits by location, activities, and their tendencies. The whole point of that is you get to know them, and once they feel like you know them, they will trust you, and trust elicits buying. If they do not trust you, they will not buy from you. I mean, would you want to buy from somebody who you don't trust? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is used car salesmen. You implicitly don't trust them right off the bat because you know they have a horrible reputation. They're like standing out in the street trying to capture you like you're some like piece of meat and pressure you into a sale or buying something that you may or not want to, that you don't have education about. It just gives a really bad feeling. So knowing who they are and what exactly they're thinking and what they're doing in their own lives, not even necessarily related to food, is important, because you want to be able to talk to them in their own language. The way that we do this is using words and phrases that they would use. When you use the same language or phrases or string of words of your ideal client or your prospect on the phone, they will automatically trust you because they recognize something in you. The way I teach this is using references in terms of location, stores, and neighborhoods, so they realize that you're in the know, meaning you're not coming from 3 hours across town to cook for them because you're so desperate for a job. You know the yoga studio that she goes to. You know the school that their kids go to. You're in the know. Once they can realize that you're a part of that, they begin to trust you. Other words and phrases that they're probably going to use that you need to be accustomed to is referencing different dietary, cultural, and personal stories that relate to them. When you do that, it makes them feel more comfortable, and they will likely be thinking, oh, she understands me, she's a mom too, or she's had struggles with food allergies, so she understands what I'm going through. If somebody contacts you and they are recently gluten-free and they need a chef that helps them get their new plan together, or clean out their kitchen, or help her husband that came home from surgery and now needs to be gluten-free, when you relate a very quick 1 or 2 line story that you can identify with what they're going through, meaning, I did allergy testing too. I was so surprised with the results. I'm actually allergic to wheat. Actually, I am, which is crazy, and I didn't even know it. And I actually started going gluten-free about 6 months ago, and I saw a huge change in my energy level, how I was feeling, how my clothes fit. Is that what you're trying to achieve also? When they hear that, they're going to be like, hell yeah, that's what I'm trying to achieve, and she knows what I'm going through. That identification breeds trust, and that's what we want. If they're a mom, if they're a single professional, whatever it is, find a way that you can connect with them, because that will make you way more appealing on the sales call, forgetting about the cooking and the service. You have to be likable. The next part of this is understanding that an in-home consult and a phone inquiry is not a sales conversation. So a phone, I just want to use different language so you understand what I mean. If you're new to this or you're having trouble getting clear on what is sales and what is not. Sales happens inside of a conversation. You both know why you're on the phone, hopefully, which is to learn more about your personal chef services. By the way they learn, it's inside a conversation, and more specifically, usually in some type of story, meaning they want to explain to you why they're coming to you, and you identify with what they're saying using their own words, and then if they're asking for help, offering a solution in the form of your services. That's important because an inquiry on how much is this and what is this and when can you come doesn't make the whole piece of the puzzle come together really easily, and you will likely have a hard time closing the sale, meaning they're on the phone with a credit card in their hand or in the home. So you have to understand the difference between that. If somebody is just inquiring and kind of hard to talk to and just wants to get to the money part, I suggest you back it up a little and ask them questions specifically about why they're calling. Ask their background, what led them to this call. It's likely going to be more different things than they were originally saying. Now, you're not going to be their best friend. You're not on the phone for an hour. You're just getting some background information so you can relate to them better. Your story is I know this might sound weird, but it's kind of irrelevant. The client's story is the main event, and it's going to show you how you can relate to them. They don't care that you spent 10 years in culinary school or you worked in a 5-diamond hotel or restaurant. They actually don't care about any of that. They might look at your bio on your website or inquire, hey, what's your experience? The only thing they care about is you solving their problems. Not even that part. The only thing they care about is their problems. So by you offering a solution, which is your personal chef service, you are making their lives easier. I hope you guys kind of get that, and don't take offense to it, because it's hard in the beginning because people think that their story is the most important, me as the chef, and it is not. It is the actually like the least important part of this puzzle. So shift it on they are the most important and their story is the most important, and then you gain their trust and you can make the sale and receive income. That is the whole point of this. On some level, all of your sales calls will take on some of this format, whether it's an in-home consult, doing it on the phone, even over email and messenger. It's got to take this kind of format as well. So you might be doing these only in the home. You might be doing these on the phone. What I suggest is doing as many in-home consults as possible, especially if you are in years 1, 2, and 3. You get to really know and practice your conversation in a very different way when you're in person versus on the phone. So when you walk out of an in-home consult, the chance of you making a sale is profoundly higher than doing it on the phone. And you can imagine why. You have taken the time to meet them, to go to their home, to usually stay there longer than if you've had a phone conversation. More importantly, the client is showing how serious they are by taking time out of their schedule, inviting you into their home, showing you around, making sure that it's a good fit. So to be honest with you, in 8 years, every time I've done an in-home consult, I have walked out of there with a check or a credit card in my hand every time. 2 times out of that, I have chosen to call them back and not book the job because I was so enthralled in it and I wasn't paying attention to little red flags I was getting. But it is very rare that you will do an in-home consult and not get a booking. That's just a side note, pay attention to that. Phone consults will likely be at a closing rate of anywhere from 10% to 50%. It's much lower, but you can handle more volume, meaning I can obviously do 20 calls a week, but I can't do 20 in-home consults a week. So you're making it up in volume, but you're changing the way it is. The point of it is, if you're in years 1 to 3 and you're just working by yourself, you're not looking for volume. You're looking for high quality, long-term clients. That's why I suggest going to their homes. One second. You'll also get a feeling if it's a fit for you. I mean, I told you the only in-home consult, there were 2, but I'll give you the story of one where I was there for 20 minutes. It was a beautiful home. It was like 2 adults, 3 kids, and a grandmother. They had 3 dogs. It was a gorgeous house, but it was crazy and chaotic. They were all over the place. We had the in-home consult basically with the husband, but everybody kept coming in and making different changes and yelling things. And when we were talking about what restaurants they like, it just got off the wall. So he wanted to book it. He wanted to move forward. And I got out of there and I said, they are all over the place. I will never be able to make them happy. And I called him the next day and I said, I have decided that this isn't the right job for me or my company. And I tore up the check and I'm so sorry that I can't serve you. And I hope you find the chef that you need. And they were like, you're the 3rd chef that declined to work with us. Can I ask you some feedback? And I was like, wow, other chefs have said they don't even want to do the job. So I wasn't alone in this. And he said, are we being too demanding? Is it too confusing? He wanted to know, which I thought was very professional. And the reality was, yeah, they were being way too demanding. It was confusing. You couldn't wrangle them into a consensus. It was very hard to even talk to them. And I just felt like this service is going to be crap. I don't want to do it. So by doing it in home, I got to see that. If I did it on the phone, I would never have found out that much about it. So again, my recommendation in the beginning, do as many in-home consults as you can. If people don't want to do it, you might learn something about them, that they're not serious about the business, that they don't want somebody in their home, meaning they could be trying to pressure you for meal delivery and you don't do that. You'll find that out if you offer them an in-home consult. So let's just do some defining of terms. A consult refers to the in-home or telephone inquiry where a client has inquired about your service. They're trying to figure out if your service can help them. That's all they're trying to do. And if it fits in their budget. They don't care if you went to culinary school. They don't care what kind of knives you have. They don't care how many, anything you have. That's what they're calling you for. For you, the chef and the owner, the inquiry process is a screening process. This is, you want to say to yourself on the phone or in person, is this the right client for me? Can I really help them? Do I want to help them? And am I able to explain efficiently, this is how my service works and this is how I do business? That's what's happening in that first initial call. Even if you're arranging an in-home consult, those couple things need to happen on the phone first. If they don't, you could be wasting a lot of people's time. And I have done this a long time, and this just happened to me. This guy was on the phone for a very long time, swearing up and down. They had a chef in Wisconsin. They're so excited about this. and we didn't adequately cover payments. And they arranged an in-home consult, which was a mistake because they weren't qualified. We missed that part of the screening process. So we wasted a bunch of time, but it was a good learning. So this part is for you to do your mini screening on the phone and decide, am I booking an in-home consult, or are we doing the whole transaction over the phone? You are educating the prospects on what a personal chef is and how you can help them. Don't assume because somebody's rich or somebody's famous or they have been in the NBA for 10 years that they have any idea what a personal chef is. A lot of times they don't. Curiosity is what this is all about. They might have a curiosity about you, but from the chef side and what we're training on today is I want you to come to the table with a feeling and a demeanor of interest and curiosity, not selling. When the client is coming to you with basic, curiosity for information on what you do, price, and other details, it can be a huge mismatch and a turnoff if your focus is only on getting a credit card and booking them. And people will sense that even if you don't say it. So, that's why I teach in a module format of leading up to sales, why services and pricing, the module on that, and really honing in on getting that is so important, because if you can't explain your service, it is going to be very hard to get somebody to believe and trust you and ultimately buy into you. So getting clear on what your services and pricing really is the precursor to this. So you have them on the phone, you want them to trust you, you're using their words and seeing and qualifying in your head if you can solve their problem. If they think that you don't know what you're talking about, or if they don't believe you, or if you don't have confidence in explaining your services effectively, they will not trust you, let alone give you a credit card to pay you $300. So some ways that can lead to mistrust at that point could be changing your price in the middle of the conversation. Saying you can cook anything for them, it doesn't matter what it is. If they say, okay, how many meals a week do you cook? Oh, I can cook anything you want. Okay, but what types of food do you specialize in? Oh, I can cook anything. Okay, how much is it? Well, how much do you want to pay? Do you see how weird and I don't know, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't make you want to book anything. It doesn't make you believe that this person can help you. So while you're in the in-home consult, I want you to explain your services in a quick and efficient manner, how they're going to book you and how the service is executed and how you follow up. If you're doing this on the phone, each one of those, how the service works, how to book it, how it's executed, and the follow-up should be about not even 60 seconds each. There is a script that we go over in the services and pricing module. If you are in it, go back to that. If you need help with that and want to possibly get in on that, contact us at assistant@stephanieheller.com. If you know your pricing and services well, just plug it in right there. You want to get really clear on the purpose of the call before you get on the phone. The purpose of the call, number one, always is to generate client excitement. Imagine you were them inquiring about a personal chef service for the first time. They're excited. They are so happy that they found you, and they want to know that you could solve their problem. Keeping up with that excitement and momentum and not being distracted or talking negatively or being a downer is really, really important. If you're in a bad mood, don't get on the phone. If you're driving or any type of distraction will show. The second purpose of the call is to build a relationship. This is demonstrated through your knowledge, your passion, and your enthusiasm. If you cannot demonstrate those things, it's going to be really hard to close a sale because they won't trust you. I want you to be listening 80% of the time. They're going to be talking. You're listening 80% of the time. You shouldn't be talking any more than 20%. If you are talking more than 20%, you're not listening. If they feel like they are not being listened to, there will be no sale. Even if you've heard everything a million times, like I have, I'm tired, I want to lose weight, my husband's never home, I have 5 kids and I don't want to make chicken anymore. I've heard every variation of everything. You still have to act like you're interested and you're listening, because that's the point. They are going to trust you when they believe they are being heard and they are listened to. Don't talk more than 20% of the time. Ask open-ended questions that require a story or, a couple of lines to answer. Don't just ask yes or no questions, because then it's very hard to go from quizzing someone into like a relationship or a trust. Because if you're just saying, so you're busy, right? And they go, yeah. It's very different than saying, so how does your day look like after you pick up your kids from school? Oh my gosh, I'm running back and forth to soccer practice. I usually go to a drive-through. It's so disgusting. We have nothing to eat. My car is filled with wrappers and I've gained 5 pounds. Do you see the difference? The way you ask a question is going to elicit a different type of answer. Don't ask yes or no questions. You want them to go into a story. You want to let them be heard and get known. If they go right into, so how does your service work? Or what does it cost? Or, start with a very poignant thing instead of the getting to know you part, you could stop and say something like, I'd love to explain my service, but let me ask you this. And then get them talking and opening up and sharing. This is not a psychology session. You are not, asking them why they don't talk to their mother anymore. You are getting to know them related to food and why they are calling you. You want to listen to the clues that they're saying. You want to hear the words, the way they're explaining it, so you can respond effectively. If you have trouble listening, meaning you're constantly going in your head with the next thing that you should be saying, they will know that, and it's going to be hard to move forward because you're not really listening to them, and that's what they want. So practice listening without talking. Listen for their interests, why they need you, their requests, their type of diet, the meal portions, and any concerns, which means any restrictions or goals that they have. What you want to do at that point is respond with the benefits and features of using your service in a conversation. Don't just list them off as bullet points. And I give you some examples of this in the handouts for this module, but at this point, you kind of don't want to go into too much detail. You want to ask them for the in-home consult. That way you can meet and explain it further, and they really get a chance to get to know you and you get to know them. Explain what's going to happen in the in-home consult. Most people will say yes. And have in your mind 2 to 3 slots ready to offer them and book it right then. Meaning, if you're at that point and you say, oh, I'd love to talk about this more, do you want to do an in-home consult where I come to your house, we'll meet for about 15, 20 minutes, and I'll explain to you my service, how it works, I'll bring my sample menus, we'll take a look at your kitchen. I have time on Monday at 2. Does that work for you? Be very specific. Don't say, when's good for you? Or I'm completely open. You want to give them definiteness and purpose on what's going on. You're taking them through this journey without any questions or hesitation. After that, yes, you want to make sure they understand your pricing. If they want a price range, or even if they don't bring it up, you need to say something like, I want to make sure you saw my website and you understand that pricing starts at $300 for weekly in-home service. Did you get to see that? Oh yeah, I saw it, no problem. Or, oh my gosh, I had no idea it was that expensive. I mean, what does that include? Then go into it on the phone. Don't go to their home if they have no idea of your pricing. That's a waste of time. They have to know the range it starts at and the expectation. If you're continuing with the phone consult at that time, it will be very similar to what goes on in the in-home consult, but it'll be over the phone in a smaller time frame. Phone calls should really be no more than 15 to 20 minutes. 30 minutes would be on the longer end. I mean, over the years, I think I have a handful of times that I've spent, 45 minutes, an hour on the phone with somebody, and you need to know if it's a waste of time in the middle and it needs to stop, or it's going to lead to a long-term relationship. I've had both. So always keep your eye out for that. You want to structure the in-home service consult this way and not on the phone, because when you're in the home, it builds more connection, it builds excitement, it confirms the prospect's interest, and when you're there in their home, it is just more of a feeling and an energy that you get instead of just on the phone. It's very easy to get off the phone and say, okay, I'll think about it, bye, send me an email. It is very unlikely that somebody is going to tell you in their home, okay, I want to think about it, I'll let you know, send me an email. Doesn't happen. So here's some tips for the in-home consult. I want you to arrive early. Being on time is a must. You have to be at least 5 minutes early. Wait in your car and just wait for the right time. Be in clean business casual clothes. Or if it's your game and you want to wear a chef's coat, that's fine. I didn't really do them like that because we were just taught that a chef's coat is for the kitchen. But I do know some clients like that, so that's your call. When you meet the customer, give them a compliment on their house, their garden, their kitchen, something that makes them feel good that you're there. Then you can ask where they would like you to sit, so you can explain the service and go into it in detail. And a lot of people will have you sit in the kitchen or the dining table or maybe the living room, and then tell them what will happen next. We'll talk for about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll walk through the kitchen. When you're sitting for the consult, I'm just checking my time here. We've got a little bit of time. When you're sitting for the consult, I want you to review the client's needs from the phone call, which you will bring your notes from, and then ask them to elaborate. You're going to ask them to, more go into the story and have a conversation between the two of you. The same thing, they're talking 80%, you're talking 20%. Stress the benefits for the client of how you solve their problem. Don't interject, don't stop them or interrupt them. Wait until they've presented their problem and then you give the benefit. Focus on selling and explaining one service that can be customized. If your core service is the 4x4, but they have a family of 5, it can easily be changed into a 4x5 for an additional fee. Do not lay out a billion service options because they have no idea. I want you to make your best service suggestion based on what you heard from them, not just what you want to sell. If you feel like you're not a match at that point and you made it to their house, that's okay. It's better for you to say, I'm not the best one for this, let me think of somebody who is, than forcing a booking and walking through it and having them be disappointed. Tell them what they need to solve their problems, and you can give other examples from clients that you have of work that you've done and explain why it's good for them. So if you say, oh, I work also with a family of 5, the kids are always on the go. In addition to having dinner ready for them during the week, I also do 3 lunches, and let them see themselves in another one of your clients so it makes it easy for them. And then explain why it's good for them, meaning customizing it to them. Then this is the hard part, which a lot of people don't do at the in-home consult or on the phone, which is ask if they would like to book. This is vital. Do not skip this because you're nervous or you don't know what they're going to say. You must ask if they would like to try the service and if they want to book. If you don't ask that, it is very awkward because you're almost waiting for them to say, hey, can I book you? Whereas you want to be the professional business owner and say, do you understand how I explained the service? Sure, I do. It sounds awesome. Okay, would you like to book it and try the service? Yeah, I do. Okay, I have Tuesday and Thursday available at 9 a.m. Does that work for you? Be very specific and be in control of your schedule. Do not say, I have every day open next week. What's good for you? You want to be very, very specific. People love that. Next, you're going to take payment then. Remember, this is in the framework of the in-home consult. All of this can be used for the phone. You're going to go in the same order. When somebody says, I want to book, you agreed on a date, you take the payment then. Don't leave this to after or send them an invoice later or have them pay on that day. Have them pay then so it gets on your calendar. Make sure it's booked. And if they're ready to move forward, they need to have payment before you leave, and then you can move on to the questionnaire, the food questionnaire. Don't give it to them and ask them to fill it out and email you. You want to do it with them to foster that like creativity and you as the business owner being there with them and doing it. I've had a lot of people have them leave it and fill it out and they send it back and they don't even understand what's going on or what's next. The next part is you're going to explain the timeline of the cook day. So the client understands how it all works. You review everything with them, that you make a custom menu based on the questionnaire, you food shop for the ingredients, you arrive with the food that you food shopped that day. It's cooked on site for about 3 to 4 hours, maybe 4.5. You package it, you label it, and you clean it up. The final stage is the kitchen review. This is the in-home consult. You're going to take a quick walk through the kitchen. This should be no more than 5 to 10 minutes. Don't make people feel awkward. If it's not a nice kitchen or you're used to something different, just make sure all the appliances work, that there's space in the fridge and the freezer. If they're using their own containers, have them count them out, make sure they have lids, and then do a final review of what happens next. Clearly explain what's going to happen when you leave. Thank you so much for today. The next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to enter your client information in my system. I'm going to send you a menu for approval by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Please reply with any feedback or changes by the next morning, 9 a.m. And be very specific. Then you're going to do your goodbye and your closing. You're going to tell them that you're so excited, that you can't wait to work with them. Don't skip this part because you've already built up this excitement. They've gotten to know you. They're excited about this. They've given you their credit card. They're in for a life-changing experience as well. You want to let them know that you're excited too. Leave them any client materials or packages, like if you have a business card or a brochure, a postcard. If you leave them a pen or a magnet, now would be a good time to do that. That's your closing. You're ready to go, and you have concluded the in-home consult. The next part of this is you're going to go home and follow through on what you said. If you are not sending them the menu by 5 p.m., email them and tell them that. If you need more information or more time or their credit card didn't go through, contact them about it. Everything that we just went over for in-home consult could be applied to the phone. This part for policies and procedures, the document that you are going to view of mine and that you're going to make your own, needs to either be signed while you're at the in-home consult or sent electronically to them. Don't skip this. They need to understand how your service works, how you get paid, the cancellation policy and rescheduling policy, the refund policy, and any other things, the scheduling that needs to be handled before the service starts. After the service, you can't say, oh, I don't have a refund policy. If half the foods are not good, I don't really care and I'm not doing anything. They want to know about this before. Okay, we are at time, so I hope that you got an idea of what the sales process looks like through an in-home consult. Everything that I've went through can be applied to the phone, and I will see you in the next video and audio training on being a sales superstar. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.